Hello there! This is the second part of my sketchbook tour series. I have 3 sketchbooks that I have filled over 3 years, and today I'm gonna talk about this sketchbook, which is the second one. Let's jump into it. Before that, I actually want to touch on a little bit of a important thing why sketchbook actually matters to an artist. And yeah, obviously you can talk about that not having an option to undo really helps with your mark making, and that is very, very true. So yeah, not having an undo option with traditional art really helps you train your mark making skills. You will think before you draw, and that will develop a way more efficient way to draw on your digital art as well. So that is really, really true. But also, it's just cozy, man. It's just cozy to draw in your sketchbook, and it's so easy. You just take the fine liner, grab the sketchbook, sit down on your couch and just draw. Pull up a reference on the phone. That's it. You can do it outside. You don't need to worry with your, for example, with your iPad when you go to outside and it's really sunny that day. You won't be able to use your iPad because the screen will glare and you won't see anything on your screen. You will have to pull up to 100% brightness, and trust me, brother, that will not be enough, probably, unless maybe you have the newest iPad, which is really, really bright. But so having a sketchbook is really cool in these situations. Also, I want to talk about this thing that probably the people who don't draw will never understand, and it's kind of tragic in a sense. When you start drawing and really getting into it and becoming curious about understanding the essence of the things you draw, you will start seeing beauty in most mundane things, even like in a trash can that you have in your neighborhood. You will appreciate everything and stop and look at everything. You go to a museum and you will observe stuff for a longer period of time. You will want to understand how everything works. You will want to go outside, take a look at a tree, and appreciate the beauty of the world. And this was such an eye-opener for me once I started drawing. Because before, when I walked outside, I was mostly in my head, I was just thinking about my stuff, But once you start drawing, once you start really getting into it, you start to observe stuff in a more calm and curious way. And that is beautiful. And as I've said, to me, it's tragic that many people won't understand, especially with the AI art, when you start to turn out the images and start to be less appreciative of the image making. To me, that's a little tragic, but at the same time, that's why this channel is here, to break down the beauty of these things. So yeah, without any further ado, let's jump into the second sketchbook. I'm excited, and let's talk about it. Alright, so let's just jump into it. The second sketchbook. Let's go. A lot of mushrooms. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm starting to invent a little bit by studying the reference and then trying to draw something like a mushroom monster out of a mushroom. I'm making something fun out of the reference, something new. This was the part where I was really inspired by Sori Kim's Domestica course, where she talked about sketchbooking. So I was really inspired. As you can see, I'm doing this like outer contour, something similar to her style, but I'm of course not as good as it, but still I was really inspired by that course, and I started drawing, going to nature, trying to draw something out of it, trying to get inspired by natural small things. Yeah, the paper is a little rough here, but yeah, some more mushrooms. I really like this one, and I really like this by the way, shadow mapping thing, where you actually go and define the terminator and then just hatch lines around the shadow side. I really like the graphic look that it creates. Yeah, but as you can see, I'm like overdoing the outer thick lines. I think it's still too much, and I still could improve the cast shadow so much in here. Yeah, and this was the point where I actually stopped drawing. I think this was the 400 days mark or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember I wasn't really drawing that much because I really wanted to go again and focus on my music career. But then I got back into drawing as well. But yeah, I remember I just drew these once a day, you know. I drew this, then I drew that the other day, and so on. And this was the Artwad workout where you needed to draw trees, I think, or design trees. I can't fully remember. And you just needed to break them down into simple shapes. Perspective here is wrong. Let me just say that. Some more of the Artwad exercises. You draw a simplified version, and then you draw a more complex tertiary form of the tree. Here are the cactuses. I think I really struggle with this kind of, not the bird's eye view, but the opposite, the worm's eye view, where you are very small and you look at something really big. I really struggle with this perspective, I remember. Yeah, as you can see, I'm going with the red line and trying to correct it. Yeah, some more mushrooms. These are just straight up from references. I think I'm really improving here. I really like how this turned out, and how I still really like the Terminator with the line and then the hatching lines thing. It gives a really cool cell shaded graphic look. And I think this was the Drawtober. As you know, in the drawing community, October is the drawing challenge month. So I think this was the Drawtober for Artwad. I think the prompt was the dragon. So I had an idea where I wanted to draw a koi carp inspired dragon. So I was trying to invent it. And as you can see, I started to add numbers to drawings. And this was my kind of way to reward myself. At that time, I started to limit my video game time and reward myself for drawing with video games. So as I draw 100 drawings, I get like 5 hours of video game time, you know. So that's what I did, and this was a good way to motivate myself to draw. And these drawings, these sketchbook drawings, were just like, I want to chill out in the evening and go and just turn off my brain and just draw. It's not like I'm trying to study and exercise a lot, you know. I think some cool designs here. I really like this one. Yeah. As you can see, I did some studies, some more studies, some thumbnailing, and then I actually tried to design the head of this koi dragon, you know. And yeah, I kind of like it. I mean, the cast shadow is a little wrong, but still. I'm starting to get a sense of the line weight, I think. And this is the first time where I just like drew something big in a sketchbook, like 1 page big, you know. Pretty cool. I think it's a cool way to, you know, draw some studies, thumbnails in the on 1 page, and then try to make a bigger illustration on the second one. I remember I was at the mom's house and she has an aquarium, and I drew these goldfishes. And as you can see, I started to... Antonio, by the way, from Artwad really mentions this good way where you draw something from reference and then you draw something in another perspective. So what I did, I drew a fish and then I start with a box. As you can see, there are bounding boxes. I start with a box, and then I try to draw it from another angle. And this is insanely effective to your learning, I will tell you that. Because if you just copy from a reference, you're not really trying to memorize. But once you're trying to draw something from another side, from another angle, without the reference, just looking at what you drew, you're trying to memorize and trying to understand what you are actually drawing. And this way, it will help and expand your visual library so much more. Same thing goes to armor. If you're struggling with perspective, I really recommend you start with a box and then try to fit in the object that you're drawing into. Okay, let's move on. Oh, I really like this one, by the way. I think it was the knight prompt, where you had to draw a knight, or maybe armor prompt, and then I just added this fish head to the armor and made a fish knight. And actually, a really cool thing that happened later, I actually made a illustration for the Imagine Effects challenge, which was a fantasy knight. A prompt was a fantasy knight. And that illustration actually got picked and it got featured on the magazine. And that was insane to me because, like, I never thought that I was on a level to get to that kind of, you know, to a magazine. That's still insane to me, and I'm still waiting for the magazine to arrive so I can read it and take a look at it. I'm so excited. All right. Yeah, these pages are really thick, by the way. Yeah, so I think this was the prompt samurai, and I am really inspired by feudal Japan stuff in general. I love bonsai, I love the samurai, and this was inspired by Ronin samurai. If you play Ghost of Tsushima, you probably know who they are. I started just attaching the fish, goldfish heads to the designs to make it more fun, you know. Yeah, same thing goes to pirate. I studied some pirate stuff. I made a goldfish pirate with a treasure chest. Yeah, this is kind of fun. With this second sketchbook, I'm starting to design and I'm starting to have way more fun with the sketchbooking process. This was a time where I just wanted to get better at designing and studying axes. I was really inspired by God of War and just in general Viking theme, and I started by studying the axe and trying to draw it from different angles. And on this page, I'm trying to design. So as you can see, I'm trying to incorporate big, medium, small, trying to add some different ways of how you can design an axe, trying to design an axe and get an appealing look out of it, you know. Yeah, and as you can see, this is where I got my 100 reps of drawings, and then I think I either like 5 hours of game time or maybe 10 hours. I'm not fully sure. I can't remember. Yeah, this looks really bad, but I was at the Comic-Con, and a cool guy called Paul Takahashi, I think that's how you pronounce it. He had a drawing session in the Comic-Con Baltics, and we had a figure drawing session. So this was just a live drawing with a live model session, and I had a sketchbook at the time. I had the sketchbook and I decided, okay, I'll draw it in a sketchbook, why not, you know. I started with the pencil drawings, and then I did some mannequinization with the fine liner, but it's really bad. It doesn't work like that, man. And this is a different approach. I really like this one, by the way. This one is really weird, but yeah, I'm still like really not that great at figure drawing. Still understanding that I haven't done any gesture drawings, like serious gesture drawings at this point, I remember. Yeah, this is pretty blank page almost. And this is where I gave myself a task to draw 25 bombers, because I really didn't know how to draw folds, and I think I still really suck at folds, and I still need to get better at it. But I think this was from a real life reference, and I'm trying to do the same thing, drawing it from different angles. This is from the reference, this is from imagination from another angle. And this was a study of Hicham Hapchi, if that's how you pronounce his name. He's one of the best favorite character designers of all time. I think he's really good. And this was his fan art of Akira. Some more attempts at trying to draw it from another angle. The Hicham Hapchi stuff. Yeah, these are really bad. Look at this shit. Yeah, just I think it was from the reference, and as you can see, I'm noting myself that there's no structure, absolutely no structure in this drawing, but I'll get better someday. Oh, these are really cool. Yeah. Okay, so these were, I think, the studies of another artist, but at this point I started trying to design a Volkswagen car and trying to redesign with big, medium, small in mind. And this is like really cool, by the way. If you don't do this in your sketchbook and you're trying to design something, this is really cool and fast and efficient way to design the big shapes. Yeah, this is a really fast and efficient way to design big shapes with just an orthographic view of a small car, so you can have a big read really apparent in these pictures, and then you try to add the tertiary details on the versions that you liked and see what is good and what is not. And I actually turned this sketch into a finished illustration. I really like these studies actually. So this was a study of a motorcycle by Rachel Frick. It's a flying motorcycle, cyberpunk motorcycle. I'm really trying to get ready and start understanding the cyberpunk stuff, which includes a lot of studies, of course. This was done by Crazy JN, I think. A really cool droid robot with something inside. This was by Atlantid, I think, Atlanid, something like that. Yeah, this was studies of another artist. I'm trying to understand the shape language, the different decisions made by other artists, you know. This was just the point where I try to do the thing that I mentioned in the previous page, where I actually design a lot of small little thumbnails to just have an understanding of the big read of the shapes inside the designs. This was the Artwad exercise for the Halloween, and as most of the workouts that Artwad have, they usually start with a study of the basic form of the object that you're trying to study. So you do this, the same thing that I did with my other studies, draw it from another angle. This was a really weird reference, by the way. It's a pumpkin eating another pumpkin. For some reason I really drew it like in an ugly way. I'm really struggling to define the volume of this. I understood that I needed more studies and I still need to draw more pumpkins, so I drew extra. And this is where I started designing the lanterns. You will see I will design a character, a pumpkin character with a lantern. He's like a graveyard keeper or something like that. I'm studying the lantern, trying to break down its shapes and then trying to draw it from a different angle. These were thumbnails of the face of the character that I could do, and I think I went with this one. I really like this one. Let's go further. Yeah, I'm trying to design the different thumbnails for the face of the character that I would choose, and as you can see, most of them they have different kind of shape language, and this could be a way to define the character a little bit more. If you have like a more of a squarish shape language, then the character would probably be more stoic, more stable. If you have a more kind of sharp shape language, even for the pumpkin, it's a little bit more evil. And I went and tried to design the actual lantern with the same shape language as well. So I went with this one, and then I picked this lantern to go with it, to reflect the shape language. And here are the thumbnails for the character design. Yeah, some really cool exploration. The drawings are pretty stiff because I still don't understand gesture at all at this point, but I'm trying to design it and make it as cool as possible. I think I went with this one, but then I extended the legs a lot because, as you can see, the legs are really small. Yeah, so this is a page of studies of books, magical books. I had a commission from Bryson. He's a rapper, singer. I needed to do a artwork for him, so I studied some books, and the song was about it. It was called The Flop Tales, so the tales represented the book, and I needed to design how it would look, and then I later finished the illustration on the iPad. These are the studies of Max Greque. He's an amazing artist. You should follow him. I started studying his stuff for folds. I really liked how he designs folds, so I started studying it. But these are just like, I'm just mindlessly copying him. I'm not trying to like really do any big studies. So as you can see, when I'm trying to design it myself, it goes pretty bad. Pretty much way much worse. Yeah, I started to do an ArtWatt sketchbooking course here. This was the first, I think, exercise where you needed to draw just a everyday household object. So I had this rook that I printed on my Elegoo printer. So I had this like object. I tried to redraw it. It's a little bit more complex than just like a simple basic object that you could have and draw, and I drew my PS4 joystick. I remember I was at my mom's house and I drew some more goldfishes from the aquarium. Pretty fun. But as you can see, it really looks, I could really add line work variation with some cast shadows, and it would enhance the image a lot more. More Max Greque studies. I really like how he does his drapery again, and I think this was still by Max Greque, but maybe these were from reference. Some more images from imagination. As you can see, I'm a sad smiley face because it didn't really go that well. I remember I think at this point I really drew a lot of gestures. I'm trying to add some more gesture with the pencil and then go over it with the fine liner. Now, this was the page where I studied ArtWatt implying detail lesson. This was for the sketchbooking course. It was really fun, but I remember I had this really bad tingling sensation in my hand, and I remember like it went to these fingers. It's not a carpal tunnel, it's I think this is a Guyon's canal thing, and I actually went to physio and did some exercises. I really got sad that my drawing hand is really hurting and I can't really draw. So I remember I drew this really sadly. I was trying to get over it and just draw a little drawing every day, even though it was really hurting my hand. I really like how I drew this ginseng bonsai. Actually a ginseng bonsai that I have in my house. I recently pruned it. Actually I'm really into bonsai, by the way, lately. I wanna create my own actual bonsai, like actual bonsai from a pine or something like that in a balcony. Maybe I can do that later, and maybe draw it once it grows in 10 years. Yeah, this lesson was all about designing the shadow mapping. So as you can see, I'm really not that great at it. I'm doing a lot of intricate detail in the shadows, and if you could actually simplify this would create a way more appealing look. But I really like how this ginseng bonsai came out. Actually pretty cool. This was still my attempt to learn folds, and I remember I actually opened the video by Modern Day James and I drew everything that he drew in that lesson that he did. And yeah, I was just trying to study how the folds work and how it affects how it goes on the arm, for example, and so on. Some more studies from that video. I remember I was listening to Rick Rubin and Andrew Huberman talk in a podcast, so I was just chilling and just, okay, I'll draw you guys, whatever. These were some fold studies from Pinterest references. Yeah, as you can see, I'm starting to get a hang of folds. I think I'm starting to add a little bit more gesture to them as well, which is cool. Yeah, some really cool studies. I really like this one. Yeah, some more references from Pinterest, I remember. And yeah, I just drew some more folds and trying to get to the 100. Some more drawings. These took me like 3 to 4 or 5 minutes each, I think. Maybe 10 minutes the most. Maybe with this one, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. I remember I was just like sitting on the sofa and drawing a lot of these. I really like this one. I think I've got on the Pinterest board where there were like a lot of model fashions, fashion models. Model fashion, what are you talking about? Yeah. Some more fold drawings, and I got to the 100. Oh my god, this looks bad. Especially this is the thing where you do a mistake where I did a mistake, and then I tried to correct it by just adding more shadows with a very thick fine liner. Not this one. Yeah, it wasn't this one. Yeah, but I just tried to just darken everything and make it look good, but it didn't look good. Maybe sometimes it's better to just leave a mistake or something like that. But I really like this one. I think this was 2024 New Year's Eve. I drew on New Year's Eve, so happy New Year's to that drawing, I guess. Oh my god. Okay, so this was the ArtWad workout. This was a step in the workout, so I actually drew it on the sketchbook as well. So this was the automatic drawing. I just needed to draw whatever to warm up, so yeah, just a bunch of random shapes with a pencil. And this was the ArtWad gesture design workout, so I actually needed to draw some gestures. And what I did was I opened a video of a woman dressed as samurai, or she was with a sword, so I'm not sure how should you call a woman warrior with a samurai with a sword, but she was doing like this kind of like a dance. I paused the video for a second and then I tried to draw the gesture of that frame. This was the point of the exercise, and it's a really cool thing that you can do as well. I think these are 1 minute gestures, and these are like 5 minute gestures that I did. Really scribbly stuff. I like how this turned out as well, actually. Yeah, some more 10-minute gestures, and as you can see, I'm kind of struggling to actually improve the drawing with a bigger time limit. I kind of just make it worse sometimes. This was the start of, I think, 100 heads challenge that I did. Yeah, so I just drew heads from Pinterest references. Ooh, yeah. So some more heads. I started to design these heads. I turned this one into the illustration. I really like this one. This was, I think, Robert Pattinson reference from the Lighthouse movie, I think. As you can see, I'm not really like going for the likeness still. It's still really hard for me, but I can still go and do a cool design at this point, I think. This was a study of Hicham Hapchi. This was a character from a Love, Death and Robots episode where they had like a cyberpunk beer with a metal frame. It was a really cool episode. I really liked it. It's my favorite Love, Death and Robots episode, so I actually drew the character design of this guy because this was actually a ArtWad workout step. Some more studies of the Pinterest faces. So I think these were from real reference. This reference was actually generated by AI, but at the point that I was drawing it, I didn't know it. So yeah, and this was by Ben Eblin. Alright, some studies of amazing artist and a teacher from Teaching Tuesdays, Ognian. I won't even say how good he is, but he's an amazing artist, and the way he draws, the way he designs the shapes, it's on a whole another level. I'll leave it at that. I drew myself, but from the reference where I was like still not that not that fat that I am today. Man, I need to lose some weight, man. Some drawings from different Pinterest references. Some more of these. I really like this one. I think I turned this one into the illustration. As you can see, I'm adding the full black hair, and a lot to the overall sketch. Oh, this was a really fun Droid VOD on ArtWad. I think I did this actually incorrectly, but this is where you design a shape and then try to draw it from different angles. So what you actually needed to do was actually have the same outline but a different design in different illustrations. Some more of these. These were really fun, by the way, actually. I remember I did some from reference, one from reference, then one from imagination. This is how you expand your design muscles. Some more of these. Really fun. I really like this one. I turned these into digital illustrations. Maybe I can add it and show it to you here. Oh yeah, some more faces. I really like how I designed this one, and I remember I did this one as well. These are pretty horrible. This is the same thing that happened to me. You make a mistake and then you try to correct it with black shapes. Oh, some blank space. Didn't remember that. Yeah, I remember I was doing some studies for Alexad Instagram do-it-yourself challenge. So yeah, I actually didn't finish it because I didn't have enough time, but I started by sketching it. Didn't finish it though. Some more faces and a blank rest of the page that I forgot to fill out. Some more faces. I really like this one. He's like, duh, dude. This one as well. I turned it into an illustration. This one I turned into a whole portrait. You can check it on my Instagram. By the way, follow me on Instagram. It's meandidraws, and give me some love there. Yeah, these are okay. So me and my girlfriend, we had like this business kind of like idea where I drew a ring design, and she chose, I think, this one, then created it on Blender, and then I actually 3D printed it, and then she painted it and tried to sell it, but it didn't sell. So I don't have it at the moment because I think she gave all these rings away to her sister, so I can't show it to you, but I can show you this. This was actually my Blender donut that I actually did a tutorial of the Blender Guru, and then I actually 3D printed it and painted it by myself with a resin printer that I have. And this was the part where I said, look, I have this Lumis head and hands book, and I really kind of like want to get used of it, and I just started studying these heads, just drawing them from that book. So these are the studies from the Lumis book. I didn't like really do a lot of them at all later. These are some drawings from imagination. As you can see, you can feel the difference where I have reference and I don't have a reference. But this was my attempt to recreate Dwight from Office from imagination. He says false. Okay, these are some more Lumis studies, and then I remember, yeah, I did 3 from the reference, and then I do 3 from imagination to improve my muscles. 3 from reference, 3 from imagination. These are all from references. I really like how this one turned out. As you can see, I'm starting to get a hold of different muscles in the face, especially like this little muscle. Yeah, I turned this one into the illustration, and I really like this one. This guy just had a bad day, man. A bad man. Oh my god. And this actually was a real person with a real haircut. This is a beard that goes up like this. If you find it on Pinterest, you'll know. And I really like this one. The use of the shadow shapes really enhances the look. And this is the part where I overdid it and tried to correct my mistakes. As you can see, a sad smiley face. And here we go. This is where I finished my 100 heads challenge. It was really fun, and I learned a lot from it, and I really encourage you to do the same. 100 heads challenge is a really good way to learn how to draw faces. And this was where I opened my Bridgman book and started drawing every single drawing from the Bridgman book. As you can see, yeah, some cool Bridgman studies, but I don't recommend actually just blindly copying it. I will try to explain it in another video. But yeah, some more Bridgman studies. This hand looks weird. But this is pretty cool. Trying to learn how to draw hands. And as you can see, I'm just literally just opening another page of the Bridgman book, and I'm just drawing everything that I see, basically. As you can see, I'm starting to draw everything with just a fine liner without any pencil underdrawings. This happens when I just get really warmed up and I can actually start to make marks without any pencil. I really like these studies. They look really cool, but did I learn a lot from it? I'm not so sure. I'm just copying it, trying to actually memorize the bone names. Yeah, some muscle names. These, by the way, like forearm muscles are the most insanely hard muscles for me to understand and memorize. I still don't understand where the flexors are and where the extensors are. Extenders? Anyway. Some more Artwad sketchbooking course studies. I redid the lesson where I needed to draw household objects from reference, and I redid the lesson where I needed to add some shadow shapes to the drawings. This was really a bad perspective drawing. This cylinder is already very circular and this is way too flat. It needs to be more round, so it's a wrong perspective for this. And as you can see, I'm really over detailing the shadow shapes, and again, try to simplify these, it will look way much better. I really like this shack study, kind of looks cool. Yeah, some more fine liner. Yeah, this was a way to check your tools. So this was an Artwad sketchbooking course lesson. I tried to do this hatching thing with a fine liner. So I used 0.5 for line work and 0.1 for hatching. I really like this one. I think this was from another artist's reference. Some more Bridgman, some more Artwad sketchbooking course. And this was a cool way to learn how to do the composition focus. As you can see, I'm adding more detail here and the focus is here. I'm adding more detail here and the focus is here in the composition. Same goes to the Mandalorian. I'm adding here detail, you look at this first. I'm adding here detail, you look at this first. So this is a way that you can actually direct the viewer's eye. Oh, this was actually really cool. I took the Emin Namutson course on Domestika, and he talked about world building. And if you know, I actually am trying to world build my whole world myself. So I actually did these explorations of the rules that I'm trying to encourage into the world, so that the world building for that world that I am building for my cyberpunk animation music project, where I'm gonna create these characters, I am actually doing it with rules, and there are more believable in that case. And as you can see, I'm trying to create different factions for that world and different trading resource routes, the same thing that Evan Munson talked in his amazing course. Some more Bridgman studies, and in here I'm trying to design an engineer surgeon character for my world that I'm building. So this guy is gonna be a one-stop shop for engineering needs. For example, you need to repair your vehicle, he got you covered. You need to do a cyber plastic surgery for your augmentation in the body, he got you covered. So he's a really non-talkative guy. He hates talking with other people. He's an ex-military, but he was betrayed by the military, so he decided to say, fuck it, I'll go and freelance. So I'm trying to write down before I actually draw any. I'm writing who, why, how, but I'm trying to answer these questions and then only get to actually drawing. And this is whenever you actually create a character design, I really encourage you to do this as well, if it's a bigger project, of course. This is actually a commission for Gigimontas. He's a saxophone player that actually released an album that you can actually listen. The album cover is made by me, and I'm trying to thumbnail song artworks for his album songs. So as you can see, there are, in this case, 8 songs that I wrote down. It's called Bones, Cheek, Hot Lungs, Straight from the Gut, Breath of Tokyo, 2 Feet, Eyes, Nails. And what do these have in common? Each song name has a body part ingrained into the song. So I'm trying to create thumbnails with each and every body part in the titles. And as you can see, the last page completed by 2024. What it's February 28th, the last day of the month. Yeah, this is the last page where I actually tried to design the pants for my engineer character, and then I'm trying to study some tools that he could use later in his character design. Yeah. So yeah, I think I've learned so much in this book, man. This is, I wouldn't say I am like extremely proud of this book, but I'm way more proud compared to the first one. I really like some of these drawings, and 100 heads challenge, the Bridgman studies are actually, I think they look quite appealing, and as you can see, there is quite a big progression from the mushroom drawings that I drew on the first page to the last drawings on the book. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. We still have one more book, and yeah. Thank you for watching. If you made through this video fully, I love you, and leave a comment saying Asaro head, okay? That's the way to prove to me that you watched the whole video. If you actually are interested, I am also a rapper, I'm a musician, and I make music. I haven't been making music for a long time, but I am going to drop a lot of new music. If you want to listen, there's a lot of songs on Spotify. Take a listen, watch a music video, tell me what you think. And also follow my Instagram, where you can actually take a look at my full art journey from day 1 to day maybe almost 800 by now. I have the highlights for it, where you can browse almost everything. And also, just my art Instagram is kind of dead, so that would be cool if you boost my algorithm and also my ego with the same follow button, you know. And also subscribe to the channel, because there are more videos to come, more videos like personal project breakdowns, art studies, tips for artists, so on. So subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and have a nice day. God damn it.